𝐻𝐸𝐿𝐴 Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. My fellow Gambian brothers and sisters, good morning to you from Grantham, United Kingdom, I hereby saying to you that, as I always said, that I will come to this platform to speak to my brothers and sisters of the Republic of the Gambia. And the reason for that is, we as people, when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created us and bring us onto this earth, according to our religions, we are here in order to find our way back to where our mother and father was placed when they were first created. This is why we read about the Garden of Eden, where they were kept before they break the rules and they were put down here. The reason I'm starting from here is that when I look at the world, how the world is today, and everywhere I checked in the world, I'm in UK here, but I was born and brought up in Gambia before I come to UK. What Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala have shown me in the Gambia since my childhood until I finished school, I went into skills training. From there, I started my own, but before I start my own business, I was working for people. But all the jobs I've done in the Gambia, Allah has sent me. Maybe He put me in those jobs in order to teach me about what I have to become. The reason I'm saying this is that there are very few of us who are grown in the Gambia and go through what I have gone through. I was born in Bakau, but how did I become to know the length and breadth of the Gambia? Why was my job directing me to a point where it's completely out of the greater Banjul area into the inland of the country? I didn't realize it those days because I was a young boy, an ambitious young boy who was trying to make a living possible for me and my family. So I started a job. After school, I went into a car mechanic apprenticeship where I spent 9 years of my youth time training to become a car mechanic for 9 years. Part of this 9 years, I stayed and lived with my boss in the garage where I was working. By the time I finished, and my boss gave me my certificate, then the very Lebanese that used to come into that garage, and most of the time my boss will send me to deal with his car. And when I finish, then he will go to the office and pay my boss. So this Lebanese, being a business person with a business mind, when he decided to take goods from his uncle in Banjul and took them to Farafenye, but he's already worked out how, and maybe he's done his research around the country to see where money is. So this is when he decided that he will take the goods from his uncle in Banjul and make them go and go to Farafenye and take a big shop and rent a house there. Then he filled that shop. This is when it come to his mind, okay, now I am going to drive to go to all these villages wherever the Lumo is from Monday to Friday, wherever the Lumo is from here to Kuntawur or even further, and coming down towards the north, up to Badibu. This man was going into every village wherever there is a Lumo happening. But knowing that to keep that business rolling, he needs somebody who can drive for him and at the same time a mechanic who will fix the car in case he had a breakdown in the bushes. This is when he come to me and said, look, Malik, I have this opportunity for you. I know you are a mechanic, but I want a driver, and I want a driver that is like you, who can drive and at the same time be a mechanic. So I worked with this man from there. But walking with him, I am seeing every day, every Lumo we go, whether it's in Badibu or it's in Jawo or it's in Kaur or anywhere in Kuntawur. I am looking at my people. From 5 o'clock, if we leave the shop, by 6 o'clock we lay our goods down. Coming from 8 o'clock, 9, you see all these people coming out from the direction of their villages, coming to the Lumo. And believe me, my brothers, born and bred of Bakau, I was sitting selling to these people, and most of them are communicating with my boss, the Lebanese man, but I am looking at my people. From top to bottom, what they were wearing, what sort of shoes they were having on their feet. From there, we will be driving. From that point, coming back, I will be looking at villages. But could you believe all this I have done for almost 5 months walking with him, going to all these Lumos around the Gambia. But when I finished with him, then his wife had a supermarket on Kairava Avenue. On the road from Kairava Avenue, if you all know where Sabina Airline was, that is the junction from Pipeline going into Newtown. On that road, there is a well-known man in Bakau Newtown called Alhaji Jawara. He had a very big building on the roadside and built shops and so forth. So one of these shops, my boss's wife took one of these shops and make it a mini market. So immediately when I came back from selling in the Lumos, then he sent me to the shop, to the supermarket, to help his wife in the mini market. So as I am walking in that mini market, then one of our Bakau friend called 𝐸𝐻𝐻, who was doing local safaris around the Combo areas. Then he came to do his shopping in that mini market. That's where he found me and said, look, you are a mechanic. Why are you working in a supermarket? That's when I told him that I come from a big family. It was 11 of us. That our mom and dad struggled. We saw them struggling to bring us up in that part of Gambia. But the reason, my brothers and sisters, I'm telling you all this life story is because I want you to understand where Malik Mane is coming from, especially when I sit here every time and I'm telling you, I'm calling my brothers and sisters to come and answer to me. I am trying to explain to you how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has bring me to this stage where I am sitting now, talking to you. And all that I am telling you is not that somebody came and tell me about it. It's something that I have landed I have seen with my eyes how our people, when we said the Gambia as a country, the greater Banjul area is just a tiny part of the Gambia. But how many of us today, all of you watching me, how many of you, even if you come from the upriver and came, or your parents came from there and you live in the greater Banjul area, you went to school in the greater Banjul area, how many of you goes back and realize how your childhood was in that village or in that town in the upriver? Because the reason I'm saying this, I have been in this country for 20 good years. I know a lot of people in Europe who are very active in politics. When it comes to politics, we do everything, including myself. We pull out our monies. We sponsor our political parties. But how long have we been doing this, my brothers and sisters? How long have we been putting all our effort into politics? My brothers, if you can answer these questions, I have displayed a number on top of this screen where anybody can call and contribute. I need you to talk with me. I can't see any comments here, and I don't hear any phone calls. But you know what, my brothers? I am speaking to you. And as I am speaking to you, I am trying to say to you where my experience comes from. So I'm going to continue this story, my life story. When that guy met me in that mini market, he too knows that he is a safari man. He's a local Bakau guy who happens to be lucky and had a Land Rover from one of his tourist friends. Then he wanted to start a business from there. If you listen to this story, you will pick something very important. For example, when people like Aissatou Touré, the now vice president, goes on a platform and refer to Gambian youths as useless or lazy. So if you listen to my story and think, what time was that when I was a younger man in the Gambia, freshly come from school, I went into a car mechanic garage to get skills, and I put 9 years of my life in that garage, learning to become a mechanic. If Gambian youths were lazy, do you think me and 7 or 8 or 10 of us Gambians would have been in that garage? Putting 9 or 10 years of our lives. Every day we wake up, we clean that garage. By the time the senior mechanics come from, some of them live in the greater Banjul area, Serekunda, Anjul, Bakau, Talinding. By the time they arrived, we, the younger boys, will clean all the garage. And by the time they start work, we will start cleaning all the cars that are parked in the yard. Dust them off. This is how we start in the garage. And we will be like boys. They will send us to Serekunda, Banjul, wherever they need parts. We will go to those shops and bring the parts for them. Then we start from there. They brought us to the mechanic site, where we will be draining oils for them. So you can see, if you start from there, how long will it take you before you start to dismantle your own engine, rebuild it, and put it back into the machine? That's why it took us 9 years to complete our training. But we were the wise ones, I can say. Because the time we were doing mechanic in the Gambia, it wasn't recognized in the Gambia, even among us as locals. Because believe me, some people were even telling us names, calling us names. And sometimes if they send me to Serekunda to get parts, some drivers, I stop them, trying to get in a taxi, they look at my clothes. They will reject me. They will say, no, don't wanna do a motor. Then go tilimal. You see? Then some of our mates were calling us Wacharahasu, fetal. Because those days, we couldn't change our uniform daily. There was no washing machines. So we would rather use the same clothing for at least a week before we wash them again. So this is why we will be dirty all the time. But my brothers, after these 9 years in the garage, then as I said, I went into Lumos, working for a Lebanese man. From there, another brother came and picked me from that supermarket where I was working. Then I became his driver in his Land Rover, picking tourists from all the hotels and taking them on different trips. South Gambia, South Senegal, called Pelican Island. But this continued until I also met somebody in that safari who gave me $14,000. But my brothers, even that very day that the man was giving me that 14,000, and I will tell you the reason why, because I think I knew. This man was a very funny-looking guy. And the day we took him on safari, I was the driver and the guide was there and the owner of the safari was there. The man had cold and he was sneezing. But the way he was sneezing during the whole trip was funny, you see? And people were laughing, including my boss and everybody in the car, except some tourists, because Western people do respect each other when it comes to things like that. So the man, I think he checked. By the time we arrived in Lamen Lodge, everybody went off the vehicle. So I always stayed in the vehicle and wait for them to go and visit wherever. When they finish, then they will come back into the vehicle. And then I'll drive them again. So this man waited until everybody left. Then he came back to me. But before that, when he was sneezing, I told him, I said, what medication are you using? He said, nothing. I said, okay, if you go back to your hotel, go to the kitchen and ask anybody to give you lemon. And I put in a cup of hot water. If there is honey or something, put it in it and drink it before you go to bed. So when everybody come off the vehicle at Lamen Lodge, this man came back to me and said, what's your name again? I said, my name is Malik. He said, I realized something. I said, what? He said, would you mind if I advise you? I said, no. I said, I am always willing to learn from people. He said, okay. He said, I've realized that since I started going with this local safari, I understood that you know this country better than all of them. He said, including the guide. You are a driver, but you know this country better than him. You see where the white people comes from. Because I, as a driver, when we stop places like Sanementereng, when we stop there, this boy, one is from Gunjur, one is from Katong, but Sanementereng was closer to me. So I know the history behind Sanementereng. So when they get Jesus there, some of them will come back to me in the car and ask me, and I will tell them. But on the way coming, we stopped somewhere where both of them had no clue, so they invited me to come and explain to the guests. So this is where the man was coming from. He said, now, why don't you try and get your own Land Rover so you can do this business for yourself? As you are a driver and you know the country, why don't you get your own business so you can take the gases like they are taking the gases? I said, but I don't have the money. I'm driving here because I need this money to help my family. This is when the man said to me, he said, all right, today when we finish the trip, can you come and meet me at the hotel gate, outside the gate? I said, okay. So after when we finish work, we drop everyone and I give the car back to my boss. Then on my way back, I stopped at the hotel, and exactly the same time he came out. Then he said to me, look, he said, I want you to take me to Banjul tomorrow. I said, Banjul? I said, where in Banjul? He said, I'll tell you when we get to Banjul. I said, okay, I'm not working tomorrow, so I can do that for you. So the next morning, I came, he took a tourist taxi. He drove to Banjul straight, to the Barclays, not Barclays, Standard Chartered Bank in Banjul. He still didn't tell me anything until we get to the bank. Then when he started to talk to the cashier, that's when I knew what the man was up to. So he asked the cashier, he said, is it possible to open an account for this young man here? And the woman said, yes, it is possible, but he needs to have 2 passport-size photographs. Then we will go from there. Then he said, where can we get these pictures? So they directed us. But when we came out, I said to him, I said, why do we have to come all the way to Banjul to this bank? He said, because I asked people, they said, this is the bank. Yeah, I said, no. I said, this bank has this another branch in Bakau, not far from your hotel. It's even on a walking distance. So he said, okay, let's go there then. Then we took the taxi, we come to Bakau branch. Listen to this, my brothers. When we arrived at the Bakau Bank, it was then. Sorry, before we go to the Standard Chartered Bank, I had an account. Yes, I said to him I wanted to bank with Meridian Bank, which is now Trust Bank. So we stopped and went into Trust Bank. I can still remember this lady. When we got to the counter, this man started speaking. He said to her, I want to open an account for this young man. He said, the woman looked at me in the eye and said, okay, do you have a pictures? He said, no. He said, you need 2 passport-size photographs before we can do anything for him. So luckily, across the road, there was a photographer there. So we went there. He made an instant photographs. Then we came back to the bank. Again, we got this same woman again. I think she was a kind of supervisor in the bank. So when the man said to her, here is the photographs, he said, okay. Then she started taking my details. But when she asked the man how much she wants to put in the account for me, then the man said, I want to put 14,000 for him. Immediately, the woman said to the Tubab, he said, do you know what you are doing? He said, what do you mean? He said, these young boys, if you give them this money, in 2 weeks' time, it will not be here. But you know what the man told her? He said, that's not your business. He said, if you would please do your job, open an account for him. But you know what, my brothers? Still, the woman was still trying to change this white man's mind for not giving me that money that day. But you know, when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is on your side, no one can stop you. It was only the will of Allah that I will get that money. But the woman tried everything. So I was just quiet. I just sat there quietly until they did all the transaction, until we walked out of the bank, and the guy put the bank book in my pocket. I can still remember what shirt I had on. It was a batik top. Then I opened it. I saw 14,000 written on it. He said, this money is for you. He said, you know what? You took care of me. You didn't give me any medicine, but when your friends were laughing at me, you was the only one who showed care. He said, that care you gave me that very day is the reason why I am giving you this 14,000. And all I told this man was, because everybody, we all know that if you get cold, if somebody get cold, the only remedy the first remedy you will name is honey and lemon in hot water. And that's all I told him, to go to the hotel and ask from the restaurant. So this is when the man came clean to me. He said, look, in Denmark, he's from Denmark. He said, in Denmark, I am a professional in a university. He said, I've got my own money. He said, but my parents passed out just last year. He said, the wealth they leave there, I don't need it. So I am going to give it to these needy people. He said, so you are one of those lucky people who will have from that will, or his, how to call it. So my brothers and sisters, that 14,000 is what changed my family life. Because after 9 years in the car mechanic garage, and another 3 years working with Lebanese in the Lumos in the whole length of Gambia, and then coming to work for a local safari man, that took me to the other part, including Casamas as well. But when I had that 14,000, being a car mechanic, I walk all the garages almost in the Combo area to see what car I had in mind was a Land Rover. And you know what? Allah was still with me. The time I got to Sukuta, many of you will know that there is a very famous garage in Sukuta. There is a very old man, since the old days, the colonial times, he was fixing Land Rovers. So all the young boys in the tourist industry will take their vehicles to him. And there was a Bakau boy who was lucky that an Englishman from UK bought him a military vehicle, a military Land Rover from UK. And this Land Rover was specially made for the British Army. But because they are locals, they don't know the value of that vehicle. They start partying with it. And when he had a problem, no, it doesn't have a problem. They said he was lucky that his friends gave him a ticket to come to UK. And he went and left that vehicle in the garage in Sukuta. So obviously the poor local mechanics in that garage also started to take parts from that vehicle. So all this time the vehicle was there. By the time I got to that vehicle, the axle was gone. Part of this vehicle, the back end was sitting on the ground. But being a mechanic, I know exactly when I came and opened the bonnet on that vehicle and I look at the type of engine in that vehicle, I know what was there. So I asked them, I said, I want to buy this vehicle. But the old man, being that honest, he didn't even want to sell me that vehicle. He said, go and find the owner. He lives in Bakau. He gave me the address. Then I went all the way to Bakau. And that's when I found out that our then Imam of Bakau, his younger brother was the one who owned that vehicle. So he also told me to go back to the garage and look at the car very well before he took my money for it. He said, because it's been there for a very long time and I don't want to take your money for it. I said, I have checked the car and I wanted it. But you know how much he charged me for that? $3,000. So I bought that vehicle for $3,000 out of the $14,000 the guy gave me. Then I started to look for all the missing parts. Every day I go out until I could get the car from Sukuta to my family home in Fajara. So I took it into the back of the compound and jack it up. It took me 6 months to rebuild that car. But my brothers, the time I finished with this car, next time I will show you the photographs. I still have them here. I did not paint spray it. When I finished with the body, all I did, I took it to my boss's garage and put the primer coat on it. Sandpaper it all by myself and put the top coat on it. But before that, before I left my brother's garage, I was even spraying cars because my brother was an international, not international, but he studied in Sweden. There was I don't know, a technical institute called the Falun Motor Co. Limited. It was where my boss was graduated. So he brought with him an European-style garage into the Gambia. So in those days, in our days, we were working for all the NGOs in the Greater Banjul area, including 𝐏𝐞𝐸. If you all remember, 𝐏𝐞𝐸 used to have a lot of motorcycles with for their field workers all over the country. All those motorcycles nationwide, when they got problem, it was me and my boss's brother who will go through all those motorcycles to repair it for them and put them back on the road for the field workers to use. But when they go out of service, they bring them all back to our garage and we will go through them and make them sellable. Then the local people will come and buy those motorcycles from us. But the good thing about those days, this is why I want my brothers to listen to me. Because I have been in this country for 20 years. But I want to tell you, for you to understand how I get succeeded. It's not from here. It was from there. So this is why, when the vice president came out to belittle the Gambian youths, I was so mad. Because these youths today, before they came, it was us. And I knew how many of us were in those garages and how many of other youths were doing carpentries, including electricity. So in one garage, we were lucky to have at least 4 different skills in one garage. If you want to train to become a tire man, you have the opportunity and you will be trained with the modern equipment. So I did car mechanic. I did a bit of panel beating and paint spraying as well. So being equipped with these 3 skills, this is what gave me the chance I have in the United Kingdom. Because when I came to UK, and I work for the first company. That's where they saw the skills I've got. And being Europeans, they knew what they want their company, how they build their companies. So when they recognized that skills from me, they took me and put me in other courses as well in order to upgrade my skills. So from engine assembling, if you know a very famous company that is called Parkins Engine, it's in Peterborough here. I work for Parkins Engine. Within 1 month, they saw, you know, the production line. Maybe some of you will know how these car engines are assembled. You see, it's not like people will stand on the next to a table and start putting parts together. No, it's a production line. It's a very long line from there to there. The first man will put the main part, which is the engine block, on the table, and put the sleeves in it. The next man will put the pistons on it, but the pistons will already have the rings on it, oil rings, exhaust, and everything on it. So all he's going to do is put the pistons in it. The other one will put the connecting rods, camshaft, the crankshaft. By the time it gets to the end, the engine will be completely ready. So in that factory, one shift, our shift will do like 300 engines. We will build 300 engines in 8-hour shift. But the time I got it to that factory, after my testing, they brought me to the assembly line. The supervisors will come and check you when they are testing you, because if you come and said I am a mechanic, you fill all the papers, they will take you to the testing site where they will tell you what to do, and they will check how you do it and what time you've done it. And that's when all the supervisors will be there to choose whom they want from those newcomers. Then my supervisor was a black American. He picked me and he took me to his area. He says, this is called Sabora. This is where we build the Volvo inboard engines, and we built some generator engines as well. But my brothers, we the Gambians are gifted. If we have the right leaders, the Gambia will be the best country in the world. Do you know why? Because it is the smallest country. And the natural resources we have in that country can make us very, very, very independent, more independent than we are today. That is if we have a visionary leader. Those that doesn't have even a tiny bit of selfishness in them. Those who will check and see those positions as is being trusted to them by the very people they look down on. Until we have this kind of people, the life will be harder and harder for us. Thank you, Pa. And thank you to you all, with your comments, There is also a number displayed if anybody wants to call in and ask any question or want to contribute. You are welcome to do so. The reason I am calling my brothers and sisters is that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has blessed me with an experience that I think if we put it into action, it will help us. Today, I have a registered foundation in the Gambia. This Sunday, 10 of my team will be in the markets to go and meet the women and tell them that they, the women, are the feeders of the country. They feed the country, especially the greater Banjul area. Every compound you go to, the food that is placed on the table is prepared by the woman in that house. So these are the women that we are going to target. With our folders, with our albums, we have lots of photographs of our local people in the gardens all over the country. These governments, for example, when Barrow came into power, all the development programs you had them talking about, I will tell you about them. Today, in my foundation, there are some groups of over 300 women in one garden in the CRR. They gave them massive land, fenced, water in it. And these women, believe me, 300 of them, it was only one man there. The rest of them are all women, some with their babies, in this massive garden. You look at the time they spend in that garden, looking after, producing those vegetables. But when they harvest those vegetables, half of it will be wasted. This is how they got into my foundation. When they heard that this is a foundation that is promoting eat what you grow and grow what you eat. The foundation that says that the Gambia's self-sufficiency is not going to come from a government, it's going to come from the people themselves. We, the Gambians, are the ones who have to bring our independence. So, my brothers, those of you who are watching me now, if you don't understand, please call in and I will explain to you. Even after this program, take my WhatsApp number and call me. I will tell you. I know how we can change things in our country. But first, we have to understand how our country is run and by whom, who are in charge of our country, what exactly they are doing with our country. Then we will see where they are going wrong. And if you know what I'm talking about, then you will turn to me because you will know I know what I am saying. I was born in the greater Banjul area. I grew up there. And like I start my program, all my childhood time, I have been doing things. I am never a homeboy because I am always on the go to see and to get. But while I was doing this, this is when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala saw me all of my country. And he didn't even stop there. After when he showed me all the Gambia, then he went and showed me part of Senegal and Guinea-Bissau as well. But when I was a little young boy in Bakau, you all know that Bakau is a political arena. They are very active in politics, more than any country, any town in the Gambia. So we grow up in politics. But going from Bakau depot, then my father retired. We went to live in Bakau. When we was waiting for our land in Fajara South Atlantic to be built, so we can stop renting and go into our own house. All this time I was living in Bakau. Until we come to Fajara. The time we moved into Fajara in the late 70s, that area was a bush. My father had a lot of sheep. You know, I remember this very well because every morning I have to take maybe 10, 15 sheep and go and tie them in the bushes. Could you imagine if it rains the day before, how the grass is will be like, you know, taking all these 10, 15 sheep to tie them in the grasses. That's why I remember these days, because it was a kind of tough time. But my brothers, these days, the areas that I used to go and put our sheep at, eating, and sometimes we will go hunting with our dogs. From our house then at South Atlantic all the way to 𝐏𝐞𝐨. We used to go, you know, that river there, that goes all the way through 𝐏𝐶 Strand, through the golf course. That's where we used to sit and fishing, you know, tilapias. But I have seen how Fajara was in those days. And when it started to build, developed, I have seen what kind of people were coming, where they were coming from. And I knew the price of land that time and the kind of houses they were building. So, when I am calling, I know what I am calling my brothers toward. So, sumang boka yen mima neka di maho setan. Ngen balal ma te dama yaga di war laka bo hamne sa dusun laka. Wante program bi fima ko sedo dafa bari. So, some of you dingen mabalal si nima neka di laka. Wante lima don ay purwa. Moy, it is high time legi pour ñun as Gambians. Man toguma tey di politique, teguma tey di campaign. Since election bim jehe be legi, I have changed the tune in my voice when I come to this platform. Limay def moy osuma brothers and sisters ñu ñëw. Because mandama fogne now is time. Politique passé na legi. So nañ leen unite. You said nakala ñoo change suñ dëkk bi. What we can do for our country. Teman, I know, soon united, I will be in the first 10 yo hamne dina neka si kanam in the ideas yo hamne. Dina ñu dimbale pour ñu save suñ dëkk. Mandama believe ne, the problem we have in the country, president bi, du ko mëna change. Because lan la, president bi si bopam suñ ko fale, kuñ mun di fal sa suñ demee, beduga si office bobu fofu la ñoo fekka sarta yo xamne ñoom duñ ko mëna jéegi. For example, man foundation bi ma am in the Gambia tey di promote ñu lekka loo xamne ñoo ko ji te nañ ji loo xamne loolu la ñoo lekka. Suñ xoolee within West Africa yëpp ñun Gambia ñun rek a nekka ñoo xamne dañ depend on the outside world too much. So demee Sierra Leone, nga dem Ghana, nga dem Nigeria, ñi yëpp ñetti country yi yëpp the most food bi gaay dee lekka dañ ko dee ji seen dëkka. Yam, ñambi, plantain, wante ñun every day malo, every day 3 times, 2 times malo la ñoo lekka. Te malo bobu ñun yëpp sakatuma ñun ñu jànga xam nañ suñ government ñaata la moo spend si malo yooyu. So ñun mi fi nekka yëpp suñ xoolee di Greater Banjul area business yu fa nekka yëpp yan façon yu marchandise ñoo fa nekka. Si ngeen a xam li ma nekka di leen wax nii ñun mi nekka Europe fii ñu ne suñ politicians yi suñ toogee seen plateforme ñu ne waa diaspora ñoo nekk di ma dimbale di sponsor party bi. Then nga dem si public bi every 10 dina am 7 yoo xam ne dinañ la ne am na ku nekk diaspora koo xam ne moo nekk di ñu sponsor. Depuis si ndawal yi la everything. Kon war na ñoo xool. First of all lu ñoo seet xaalis bu ñoo génnee fii di ko yónnee back home ñooñu ñuñ ko jox lan la ñoo spend xaalis boobu si la ñoo gis ne xaalis bu ñoo liggéey fii di ko yónnee daf day ñëw all the way back fii because su dëkk bi dépende si loo xam ne benn du seen bos kon nga xam ne fu loolu di jógee lépp lu ñoo jaay si bitig yooyu lépp xaalis buñ si mun di spend xaalis boobu dafa jógee génn a Gambia mu delluwaat back to fu bagage yooyu jógee parce que ki ko dee indi Banjul bitig bu mag bi dee indi product boobu di ko tasaare si bitig yu ndaw yi kooku su ko order fii xaalisi fii la moo jël mu order bagage yooyu mu egga Banjul su ko defee bitig yu ndaw yooyu yëpp dem di jël yooyu di ko jënda di ko jëfoo so lii moo tax suñ dëkk bi munta dem kanam plus ñu am ñoo xam ne dañ leen tànn ba pare jox leen gom leen jox leen suñu réew mi ñooñu tam nekkaluñ ñu fa ñaareel tubaab yi nekka foofu tam mayuñ leen jaama so lii mooy suñ problème any government buy ñëw si ñun comme que election passé na let us be honest to each other now let us put all the difference aside and think for ourselves for our country si ngeen a gis li ma leen a wax nii because that president su demee office boobu dafa am agreements yu fa nekka the international trade the African Union am na kayit yuñ sign di wax ne all Africans yi seen trading dañ ko war a boole ñu mun a dem ci demante te di jaayante understand nga loolu ñoom dañ ko sign ba pare te ñoom duñ mun a turn around ñu ne loolu bokkaatuñ si so lii moo tax man maa leen a pour ngeen ñëw ñu bokka parce que lii ñun rek a ko mun a change te man start naa ko du yàgga di ngeen gis xam naa some of you sax gis ngeen ko Malick Mane Foundation li tax ma tuddee ko suma boppa sax parce que man dama pare pour génne suma xaalis dugal ko fa ba léegi xaalis si kenn dugu fa astagfirullah am na groupe boys yi nekk Belgium ñoom contribute na ñu yónnee ma 130 pounds waaw gannaaw 130 pounds boobu benn xaalis si keneen dugul si yëfi foundation bi depuis register ko ak meeting yuy am yëpp from Banjul to CRR URR T-shirts printing everything suma post lay jógee because dama ne suma ko defee nii ba nit ñi gis fuñ nekk di dem then people will join in te tey my brothers and sisters almost 3/4 of the population join nañ this foundation because lan la nekkul ne foundation bi lañ join de seen njëriñ lañ fa gis those béykat dañ dem si ñoom ñu déglu leen ñoom ñu ne just Labour Malick Mbye la suma gaay yi dem meeting biñ fa dem meeting then kiñ jàppa papa as Papi Foundation bi kooku tam dëkk yu nekk si boor boobu yépp so bi ñëpp dajale suma tim bi taxaw seen kanam mu ne leen ne this foundation day ñëw pour ñu seet yenn pharmacie légumes yi ngeen nekk di liggéey si biir dëkk bii nii parce que dañ am koo xam ne mu ngi toog Angleterre moom mu ne fii la juddoo bim juddooyee fii gis na ñoom seen papa ak seen yaay ñoom fukk ak benn la am ona sanga te gis na ne seen yaay num leen dundalee ba tey ñu egga fii turu garden yooyu la ak jaay marché la def so looloo tax moom mu believe ne first of all bim def this foundation I took young boys dama leen fekk ñoom boys yooyu sax ñoo ma gis like today dañ ma dee xaar suma platform suma ñëwee rek so one of them they call themselves the Gambia Young Activists then one of them took my number like I display every time mu jël suma WhatsApp number mu def ko into the Gambia Young Activist Forum so si la ma WhatsApp notify bi ma demee foofu ma gis fa suma tur then ma seet lu xale yooyu yëpp di wax foofu some of them are making poets lañ Understand nga? Then those boys still they were making video, you know, films. So then what are them si bena village for scenes for la scenes scene bi neka fofu lañ wara yobo actors yi ak actress yi pour ñu act for that piece. So ma sponsor len. So from there suñ connection be start. Then Sila Foundation be new. Understand? Until today, you get try pull bill. So this Sunday coming, 10 of them are going out to go into the market to meet our mothers and sisters at the market entry and entrance. Telling them, stopping them and telling them, if you go to the market, please look for the Gambian product. So after lolu tam gay dinañ duga ci biir marché bi jëndañ jaay itam dinañ waxa ñom so ñoñu suñ nango register ak this with the foundation ñoñu tam dañ leena jox uniform comme apron bu ñoo aka nga xamne suñ tassé jigéen yi ci bidi marché bi dinañ leen wax ñu how to call it suñ duggé ci marché bi then ñu bàyyi xel ñu bàyyi xel ci suñ légumes yi. ñun dañ foog ne loolu moo ñoo dimbale my brothers and sisters pour ñu change the way naka la suñ dëkk bi depende from the outside world su suñ maalo suñ pompiteer suñ liñoŋ mu ngi jógee Holland am na article boo xam ne mu ngi wane during last year Tabaski the 26th week of that vegetable company in Holland, ñoom ñu ne 1,800 tons la Gambia consume from their company. Naka la Gambia di order 1,800 tons of onion mu ñëw Gambia when my brothers and sisters we have those women in the inland ñoo xam ne ñu ngi jooy ne suñ jiyee ba seen légumes yi ñor half rek lañ dee mun a jaay di other half dañ ko dee sànni parce que def dee yaaxu lanata government bi mu demee mu sampal leen those gardens mu defal leen ndox foofu nanata ñooñu mënuñoo xalaat ne jigéen yi ni suñ leen joxee lii then obviously dañ leen war a dimbale ñu utal leen market boo xam ne luñ leen toppatool nii suñ ko amee fuñ koo jaayee otherwise dina yaaxu because anything lu gaay di ji si garden yooyu du mun a last long so obviously government moo am doole kattan boobu pour defal leen market so obviously tey su fi Malick Mane Foundation nekka anybody ku nekka this government na su jotee si message bi na xam ne he's not doing it for me Malick Mane but he's doing it for the Gambian people the Gambian farmers the poor farmers ñoo xam ne ñu ngi si dex gi foofu di boot seen doom yi di nga gis di jigéen yi boot seen doom yi di sega si bambe yooyu di ji liñoŋ yi di ji kekumba di ji tamate kaani amuñ market so li lee tax man ma foog ne market am nañ ko problème biñ am mooy the Greater Banjul area faale wuñ dañoo dem marché rek liñ fa fekka ñu jëndal lekka ko fekka suetuñ weda lii Gambia la jógee te most of it ñu ne Sénégal lay jógee di ñëw at least nañ leen xalaat ne liñoŋ su jógee Sénégal su jógee Holland ñu lekka ko ñooñu lañ nekka di dimbale kon léegi nañ leen start ñun yépp suñ toggee ak suñ famille ñu ne leen nañ leen start léegi suñ demee marché ñuy mun a xamee légumes Gambia su ko defee lii dinañuy dimbale my brothers and sisters this is the beginning of the change biñ nekk di ut all the jigéens in the Gambia it is your responsibility because you are the feeders yéena dee feed réew mi so change leen ñun dinañ def suñ kàttan jëndañ jaay yu nekk foofu yëpp dinañ leen jox uniform nga xam ne ñooñu tam dinañ understand ne duñ war a jaay dara seen table unless boobu amut at all si la ñoo jël beneen ñu def ko fa wante force nañ leen start ak légumes Gambia su ko defee suñ maire yi nekk di liggéey si garden yooyu suñ harvesté that very night mu ñëw Greater Banjul area force nañ leen ko tasaare si suñ marché yi léegi ñun register nañ as much ñu ngi register ba léegi all the restaurants in the Greater Banjul area ñun jota waxal already ñoom yëpp d'accord nañ ne suñ starté rek they want to take a supply from us understand nga so restaurant yooyu yëpp ak hotel food and beverage manager yooyu yëpp yu register ak ñoom yëpp ne ñun suñ amee rek they will take from us so léegi I am talking to young Gambian koo xam ne mun nga ñëw dimbale sax ñu am office place ñun am nañ equipment si yëpp waaye ñu ngi ut office léegi am nañ computer si te just ñaari computer rek lañ fa bugga boo xam ne dafa jël suñ pharmacie ak suñ gardener si lépp lu ñëw liggéey seen tur yi ñu stock ko fa ba pare marketing team bi dina jël ñu borom restaurant yi borom hotel yoo xam ne ñoo dee use those vegetables tam jël nañ seen number so boobu dafa nekk si beneen computer so da nga gis ne ñaari suñ xëyee ñu kii nekk fii kii nekk fii kii su jëkka amee call si farmer o permaculturist mu call leen mu ne leen ne ëllëg dama buddi cucumber o gannaaw ëllëg su ko defee immediately kooku dina jël phone mu seet si consumer si fii either restaurants wala hotel mu call leen mu ne leen ne am nañ farmer boo xam ne mu ne gannaaw ëllëg mu ngi aaji cucumber te xëj na dina nekk 1 ton su ko defee restaurant yooyu benn ñaar ñetta kii wax ne dinaa jël xëj na 10 kilos kala jël 5 kilos luñ mun di nekk rek my brothers déglu leen ma lii mooy suñ pexe te lii lañ believe ne nii la ñoo amee suñ independence self sufficiency boobu su ñëwee straight away dinañ am suñ independence waaye lii ñaari affaire la moo indi suñ béykat yi dinañ gis seen njëriñi mbéy biñ nekk di def parce que suñoo mbéy muy jar dinañ gis njëriñ bi mu ngi delluwaat si ñoom loolu dina leen dimbale ñu upgrade seen li ñoo mbéy waaye the most important thing is dina fekk léegi Gambia lu ñëw lekka is from us nga xam ne léegi loolu dinañu put in a better secure man loolu laa dee o as independent because suñ starté loolu nga xam ne lépp suñ jigéen yi di jënd si marché bi anything Gambia la moo jógee yàppa bi ganaar bi jën bi légumes yi yëpp Gambia la moo jógee léegi su dara xewee àdduna ba gaali malo munta ñëw gaali liñong munta ñëw gaali pompiteer munta ñëw then ñun we are fine because am nañ ko Gambia xool leen bi first world war ak second world war amee bi tubaab yi di bomante ñun suñ maam yaa ngi doon dem si tool yi di dundal seen njaboot yi so lii mooy suma oote mbaɗigol ngal be kontong alse hekatu bi programme o jam fata domanding bari nga kata pour ka fok nga kangol mimboy nga fo wol bele to bi paksi message le mi yalon kontol gambian ol jahasta nyaaw nyanna nse domandin tombonji mini fana mu kandol to mam mini fono wol fana sa translate nin doli bari programme o nga siya platform ninta ngalon ko ninga siya jeba alawla len ka siya wol bele to because bi mantara dia mu kam politiko karola yajel na bankola nyato tambe wole fokan mba sotola nyaming mbe wole fokan indung akoitan telele fer ko ninga wo silota mbe na banko bondilale follow mba follow la minna wole na balu nyati na balu nyambe wole tala follow nga wo sansang nga akoin nako nyi watol min bina kelateng ntol nga foundation o kumasile already yajel wo foundation o be mine promote ka wala nga fengol domo mi yalon ka falin na banko le kan wo kola nga na banko ta nga fengol fanam fije min yalon ko tolbe balula wallela so nga start le next year nin nyambi fi tutu wato sita alba jala nin ala sonte nyambobe si ala bake la banko kan because B iko nyambi boto mu wuli sabaleti marseto. So nali ajibe minka nyambo do ku kunkot inoto. Ni wala nyambo wo min batata la nyambo to a topoto fasita wuturola. Ni wo ya wutu. Jendanjayo yenaya sam wo bulu. Dalasi wuli kilin. Yajal. Won jendanjay kilingo yenanang. Aina sambanang. Atia wafi nyindo ya wuli fulaning tal alula. Then min fanan ba wafila wo marseto. Wo fana yala profito laje wala ka nyambi boto ke dalasi wuli sabati saing. So saing natara nga nyambi dola siande. Wo tema lanko mi yalanko wole fengol wole nyambo da kuyandi. Nga wo bondije den nga fama ning consumer nyen suji nyola. Yaje isaje ning ntola foundation onata wala kamba. Ninga na official yele mbetar la jele fama sol min bebe registering nkono. Nim fefembe min wutula. Iben tola official call la le ya fwe ko nyulun kare mbe nyim fen kare wutula le. Isaje wo official kono fana wolbe dulado jibela le. Restaurant tiol be registering dame aning hotel tiol mini fana ka domorol deda ibe registering bulu nyaming. Ise wala number ta ye call. Ya fwe ko nyulun kare nga dokul nga fama dola kilin sotole mi yalon ka kabe nyim fen kare le wutula wolungo. So akabe kanya na nyin nanga mole fe. Na kati foyte be la fila ala le bang. Isaje ibe mini be kumandila ni wol be ko la fite isaje ni woy wo wutu dorong. Saing ate waste time la teba fola nyini yele dorong ye botota yeta wo fengol kam. Yena ya de nyini la yejo yeta yela kododila. Mbadingol dukare ngal dane alim be nga suji nyola momo ye fere min soto nyento mbe min fo kanteng ifana ya na fe. Yaji ni ya na fe isaje nimbe ka futa nyola woto la be fe yala purunga na banko londa fango singola barbi na banko mantara loringa fango singola katun ka balu minna a jama ka bonam bantale nila balu fango ka bonam banta isalon ko ita man kana katu aka bonanda minto ni woto e problem so to doro wo domor fango te futa letela. So wala tinan tolko alngam fandalindin na fengol la minni yalonko. Ika falim fengol la banko le kan. Fengol be falin kan na banko kan ne de. Bari nga wandi fengol talen ye tambindi. Fente fembuka fengol kese minke. Fengol be belo ke Senegal le waratan tolti bake. Say ning turoko ramor kol kabonan Senegali ni wo fengol kananang. Wala tinan tolla musol be anyol ko 𝐟𝐿 kono minni yalan ko be doku bala wod lato ila fengol katinye bulu abuka sang ibe kaniba doku la fais ya wo kano e pare ay toli bulu foni nata ya tu yake ya ja yake kani munkoti wallahi yake fendodi and wo ko do mansia bi mansa kunda mimbuko agriculture wo nyanta silol bondila la connection ol nyina nim bantala bankol. Yaji, ikantola musol taike sawarindi ka organic doku. Hani tubabol jam fangoto. Ikalafi organic lela dan katambi fangol la fenkol. Saing, nintola agriculture minister nata akala doku ti akananyim tuba bankol kang. Anin supermarket ko tiol ka diamu. Kajibe, ibe Gambia fengol futandila woto nyadila. Ayatandila ko. Gambian kol buka any poison use ila fengol ka. Ika local manual use ila fengol kang. Wole ba kela organic ti. Na ba mem fango mun na bati. Ni ajibe nyebe betiare Gambia la wo tropical water sol kono nyaming. Nye sifal minika muta woto. Na taranto la fisheries minister mo tilin dengoti. Mo hakili mati. Wo nye bin tol betar la wol export kaneka. Hani UK jamfango. Nye dol kamuta wo jiokono. Ni UK wol soto. Wallahi. Mfangol nga tubabol jele mini be sabatirin na banko kan. Minke tak nying konka rate ntolka mini fainung. Tubabol bi tol lafta wala la katambi fengo bedi. Natara, wo mansa kundae kulungol londe mini kateka wo konkorol muta. Ikananang, ike ile, ike topoto, yemakate nyona UK jang. Gambia la kodo bebe banko kan. Bari mam mol soto na mansa kunda to mini yalan ko nyamentale puru kaje ko Gambia manyana fendani la mobulu bantabi. Fente fo alay mendinto la banko kan. Otombadingol. Alnga ke kilenti. Politiko tambitale alnga ke kilenti. Nganyo kalamutandi. Ninka futa nyola. Abe fe ala bakele purunga na banko bonde abe sembomi na bantala banko kan. Ninga jibe. Na president ol minita mita sa dawda ya traile. Amang Gambia londino fangola pruka fangsu mano doku. Yaji. Bira ja ali pachal project ol kumasi watol minna. Wonim bite ma fatela wato banta tema londino. Ya jambe fanan nata. I eat what you grow initiate. Fonga je fonga katara mani farol konabe mani katol. Yajale. Wo fanan nata tata. Amang Gambia londino puru. Nga sufficient mano doku. Nga mfango balundala. So walati nante ngaje ko. President ol minka jikile tolte nyim falin nolan tolye katu president ol agreement lebelari la official kono min yalonko ye safaro tale ya agreemento sani ning Africa bankol anim bantala bankol dol ika mine for international trade but ning international trade be caring banku ikalono e fango yale yaje ko ila bankola fengo fanang abetala wo bankol kanne yaje bari follow jannabe fintila bante kela bankola follow danyini barinte mimbe diamola ninte kaltol commandant altol mimuna brothers and sisters solti hani la mbake kan hani say mbake kan ne de bari ba jalale abe time talale but ning government le fango wulita min yalonko ntol nge tol tombo wole kam minister mimbe mararin trade la minister mimbe mararin agriculture la samado Kenya la yaje nyim mo flo le nyanta kela molti minibe kela terolti ika sinyo kay ka kacha woto nyindo safai do laji le babulu be banko bulu birin gadi nol to lembang fo kunkol to lembang na do bal kamim bedo ku isaje agriculture minister se sino ase wo fo no trade minister wo trade minister fanam ba fang equibla wala na fintita bantala bankol kan ay nanang ay tolla molla fengol taye wol fintindi bar janne kanyim moto expensive all tan kanyim project all ta keke banko kan min yalon ko ite molla balunya falina tariyake yajel woto ntol banko dingol ye kafu say nga deng nga fo nyine say ben na banko sambala nyame isaje ni westo min bebe caring ase tala ni wo talata isaje nse cold store bill no banko kan Dawda isaje na mulye fefen doku isitarano wo cold store kono yaje nyel fanang ni multata badiyata tumomin nye jama mutata abese tano la topoto ay ketara wo cold store kono rather than yetara kumuka ibe faila badalto ibe wesla je ye dinkol siye sareje wo fisheries minister le fanana do ko mu woti ko ning budget big error finance minister lota I milliono min foka ba dila fisheries la wo milliono nyanta spend la wala follow kan ay facility sol londi banko karo bela mi yalanko Gambian natural resources sol alay fengol min dina banko kan abe top abe barakano la nim fengol min la abe wala follow londi la banko kan isaje nim fefe mbota wo karo la biri ba kono le mbang biri tintingo kan ne mbang wol base good storage also te be tarla daminto te tinyala no juna barate mansa kunda kilingo wolle wo mol be sujindi nyole saje trade minister nyini finance ton yeta trade minister visit ya fa konko ntolla agriculture den kanyinne produce no na stol felebe ibe fakan sa ite be mina keno la pour enwa bari bin tol Malik Mane Foundation be min kekan ntolka dindingol mini ka findi kata dia musol ye Marcel to puru ye Gambia fengol sang amon ken tolla do koti niajen tol ba kala korola keta bari mansa kunda la do ko mu purka banko dingol kala mutandi ye terana television to everybody min ka television o Gambia kono mansa kunda nyanta tandile la ko hanabe kera montoro miniti tansa baleti tiloto yaje ika Gambia kuol fintindi je minketa nyin domor kuolti fo Gambia dingol be ya kalamuta ko nin tata marseto saying alnga Gambia fengo follow jibe nkanna mol balundal nimma woke fenne be jelelan tolla mimma nyinga solo katu ninga jibe bi momon ni seta bi ni be Gambia le ajibe tela muso tara wanyo kono ya jibe abe min tabikan ye fango nyininka ye fengol min beje wo wanyo kono ya jibe jelnin jelle bota bantala bankoto anata nan Gambia woto la albaje lambe min fokan so dukare alnanga kafunyola ngana banko bondi abe sembo mindo se jiki mbansa kundala nyaaw nyanna fontol banko dingol fana yek nanang mimu ntol fango kan nyan ote purunga falem fana nga songa wo faleng indun se woke no nyame wolem ngana nga kafunyola so altol min be jibe kan nimmi ye a better idea so to hani nyim platform o fango mba improve la nyaming pour kake no an educational platform oti mbenna Gambia mol kala mutandila nyaming yajal alse wo ideal passing den benga jibe mba upgrade la nyaming ntenga kumasi lede badniya jen nata mba folali nte kilinta sambalano en birimba start la fana ngawo miraro le setani wo nganiyo ko bawo platform o bembulu ni nga fintin design fo nga fenso tombe min tandilang ndo nyol nin koto nyol la ibinala nanne katu mbela bankola na fala biji dukare ngal dani nali nyim programo se ano anywhere momon yamoy dukare hani man koronto jabirola imira komi ngamin foy I hakilo tula suo kona yaji bela dimba yaka balumin wotore bajela ko nka balumin bela atalante ninto beka bonam bantale kanana sai ye fango nyininka sai natara luolun tolka baluten ninku keta dunia foy kulungol mini kanyini sambanang wolbu kanano sai ntela dimba ya be balula nyadile bawi tolbe dalita kanyine domo luolun woto lal bajela ko sai na wato ti purunga faling nga kumasi kan na fengol domo mini be Gambia banko kan musudol ya fonyele ko inyo musudol ni tata marseto fango ibuka la fi fengol mini be sieri rin sai mini be paketol kono eka wolle sang so alen sen hakilo tu wolto bake mbedan na jan sai mbadingol nga wato tale bari ning ala sontambe murula na sai te famala platform auto what you watching albenjela janne barabe dia la nyele fanankal tol moy na WhatsApp number be display rinne momo ye idea soto hana manke sainti fango dukare yen call nga ko diamu ite fanana miraro mu minti ya fonye isaje next time ni nata platform auto nsa fo wonyama natara wole be mako la purunga moja mal hakilo tanga fo yandi purunga kafunyolo min kumandi alinse woke purunga kenna bankoe ala baraka bake ponyato domanding bafalal be ya baraka sakaltol min be contribution okejang pa jambulos inimbara pk to the motivation we give it to the people, keep you up. Thank you, pa. Bella do ko mude. Ha. Worry. La baraka bake. Ngala contribution all bejele. Thanks to you all for your contribution. And I'm looking forward to hear from you, your ideas, or I am looking for visionaries, who will bring an addition to the foundation. So if anybody listening to the program and you have something in you that will be useful for the foundation, please, I beg you, come up with it. Even if you think it's not, just pick up the phone and call me. If you don't see my WhatsApp number and you are on Facebook, use the messenger to call me or send me a text or voicemail. I will get back to you as soon as I can. Thank you.